On January 20th, 2025, the VTuber Cottontail VA was banned on Twitch for a period of 1 week. She was banned because she had left out an adult toy on her desk following a stream done on the website Fansly. While this is not the most devastating thing that could happen to her, as it was only in place for 1 week, it is still a massive blow for any content creator to not be able to use one of their most profitable platforms for any length of time. And that even holds true even though Cotton is the queen of massive blows, if you know what I mean. So, it begs the question, was this worth the ban? Well, the case can be made that she did violate Twitch's guidelines, which state that the display of a sex toy in a non-educational context, such as bragging about the size of it, violates the guidelines. So, the existence of an adult toy that was not being interacted with, by definition, is not an educational context. So if you ever find yourself in a similar situation, honestly just have some anatomy facts memorized about the piece of anatomy the toy is mimicking, and then show the toy prominently and use it as an educational tool to help teach your audience. Which does mean that it's better to display it prominently than it is to just let it exist in the background, assuming the rules are fairly applied. Which begs the question, is this community guideline reasonable? I would argue no, and that this is a prime example of how sex workers are unfairly stigmatized on the internet. It also might help us fans know how to better support VTubers and other creators who also perform sex work. Now, before I move forward, I should start by admitting my own biases that affect my view on this, as well as my credentials as a researcher, which allow me to gather information and think through the topics in this video while mediating my biases. To start, a big factor, which may bias me, is that I have a massive crush on Cottontail. I'm a lesbian woman, and she can leave me passed out in a puddle with nothing but her voice. Sue me. So, I did feel sad for her when she got banned. To keep this argument fair, I will also refrain from flirting or sexting her in this video, as much as I really want to flirt with her, especially because this is important. The focus of this video is not on the sex of it all, but the grounded reality of the person doing the work and what affects them. So we'll look elsewhere for me simping for her. I myself am also not a sex worker, nor do I have any plans to be. While I am open to the idea of doing so online at some point, it's not part of my current lived experience. So what I'm sharing comes only from studies I've read, and as such, I will be blind to much about what it's like to work as a sex worker. And I will happily leave it to those people who work in this industry to share their stories. And I'm happy to expand my own point of view as they share theirs with me. In regard to my credentials, I have a master's degree in political science. Having graduated at the top of my class, I worked as a researcher and research assistant for several years, with some of my work being presented at the UN. I am trained and certified to conduct research in Canada, and in that training, I was taught about research ethics and minimizing the effect of my own bias on my work. I can also cook and bake, and parents love me. Okay, that's the only time I'll flirt with Cotton in this video, I swear. But you heard right, Cotton. I'm a total catch. Okay, so let's get back to the topic of this video. The reasoning behind this policy on adult toys is meant to keep Twitch safe for a variety of ages and types of people. As such, the policy wants to make sure that people who would be too young to see suggestive things and those who would be offended by them are not subjugated to them. So, let's look at the situation. A toy on a desk, seen for about 2 seconds because she wanted to show her fish. Does the existence of this elongated rubber mushroom seem simple without knowing what the object is? Or would someone too young to not know what it is used for view it in the same way one might look at a rubber pile of dog crap you would buy from the dollar store? Just a funny rubber thing, based on how made to replicate how us animals remove waste from our bodies. This honestly becomes a question of how guarded you think children should be. Should they be kept from knowing that there are long rubber mushrooms because you know it's cool or not? Really, this should not be the responsibility of Twitch or its streamers. If a parent wants little Timmy to not know of objects that could potentially be used for sexual purposes, even if they're not being used in a context that would suggest that they could be used like that, then it should be on the parents to monitor their internet use. Otherwise, little Timmy is going to find out about this stuff pretty quick. Even if the internet was perfectly segregated between safe work and NSFW stuff, it's the freaking internet. And people are do the math. So let's talk about the sex of it all. You know, bumping uglies, going to Pound Town, taking her on a trip around the block for a shot of cream. And sport are topics that are particularly and unfairly stigmatized in North America and many other cultures around the world. When I say stigmatized, I'm not meaning those who are averse to the subject for their own reasons. You shouldn't have to engage with anything sexual if you don't want to, both online and otherwise. And not wanting to does not mean that you are adding to an unhelpful stigma or doing anything wrong. unless you decide to make your preference something that should be enforced on others, which also goes in reverse. No one should be forcing you to engage in topics or actions you do not want to. A stigma is something that is a mark of disgrace associated with a particular circumstance, quality, or peers. In this case, essentially means that sex is seen as something that should be kept from the public conversation, something taboo to bring up. This is not necessarily bad or good. It's mostly just a matter of opinion. What is unhelpful is the way that the stigma extends to and affects sex workers. A big aspect of this effect is how it impacts the safety of sex workers. Society is frequently making laws or rules which facially are meant to keep sex workers safe, but in fact had the effect of putting them in greater danger. If you like information about this, I recommend watching this video here, which will be linked below. This video, made by one of my favorite YouTube channels, Some More News, is partially relevant to our conversation, but not fully, as Cottontail is not in danger of anything. I'm not going to cover all of the information in this video, especially since it would just be me rehashing what they said, so go watch it, it really is important. But the main point I want to pull from it is how the implementation of FASTA, a law which sought to reduce human trafficking by limiting spaces for online sex work, increased the rates of sex workers being trafficked. In effect, actually increasing the danger posed to them. Also, just because it's a good general point from the video, we should show sex workers more care as a society and not treat them like criminals. Online spaces provide a barrier and a layer of safety. And while Twitch is not a site used for sex work, it is a space for people who also do sex work to make content on. And by the fact that they do that type of work, they're of course going to have some toys. Banning people for showing something by mistake for a whole 2 seconds at most is not going to reduce the rates of usage or ownership by streamers, but it might mean that people like Cottontail are pigeonholed into only doing either sex work or normal content creation out of the fear of being banned for making an innocent mistake, which limits the options that someone performing sex work or needing the extra income from it could do who want to continue to work online if they decide to stop doing sex work for whatever reason, thus potentially trapping them into sex work due to the higher possible income of online sex workers. In the paper, We Hate Sex Workers in This Country, Stigma in Online Sex Work, published in volume 28 of the Journal of and Culture, it was found that online sex workers, while safe from some of the stigma held against them, sex workers still face issues of persistent judgment and internalized shame because of society's views and pressure, as well as fear about coming out to people as a sex worker because they're afraid of how they'll react. This judgment can be seen in how people reacted to Cottontail's ban and the reason for it, casting judgment on her for owning the toy or for even doing sex work at all. Luckily, there are also many who are supportive of her, myself included, which does not mitigate any emotional stress the negative comments may have had on her. And honestly, however she felt after this, or in reaction to any comments people make about her, is totally reasonable. However, there is no reason for any type of backlash directed at her. In the 2010 paper by Scott Cunningham and Todd D. Kendall entitled 2.0, The Changing Face of Sex Work, the authors explored how sex work has evolved in a digital age, in which they found that, as you assume, online sex work is significantly safer than on-the-street sex work. However, it also found that digital sex work is significantly more profitable industry. This means that online sex work is a safe way for people to earn a good income if they want to, which means that people who in the past may have had to turn to sex work out of desperation and ended up in a dangerous situation earning little money can now not only be safe, but earn a good income. Add in the layer of anonymity of being a VTuber, and you can go about your daily life without the attached stigma following you. And if you stop doing sex work, you don't have to carry its scarlet letter with you forever. So limiting spaces where people who do this type of work can feel safe to make other types of content, which allows them to transition out of sex work if they so desire, reintroduces a part of sex work that the new realities of online sex work had made better. So while Twitch should be allowed to moderate their content and decide what can be on their site, having this shotgun approach and banning someone for showing a tool of their trade by mistake for 2 seconds makes the digital landscape less safe and accessible to some people. Twitch, I doubt, does this intentionally, but is acting this way because of the negative stigma sex has, and out of worry that how that will affect their advertisers or PR. However, I would also suggest that they don't want to make the online space less safe or accessible for some people because of their profession, or even because they enjoy using toys on occasion. So I would recommend to Twitch that they re-examine their policy and how they are enforcing it at present. This is really a conversation about culture. What does Twitch want their community culture to be? In the 2019 paper, Nothing But a Twitty Streamer, I like in my face all the time. nothing but a streamer. Legitimacy, labor, and the debate over women's breasts in video game live streaming by Bonnie Ruberg, Amanda L. Cullen, and Catherine Brewster. The authors examine the manner in which female streamers and their success are dismissed at large as nothing but streamers. They found that it was not simply a juvenile dismissal of women's accomplishments, but that it not only revealed a pervasive culture of devaluing women, but also mocking them for how they choose to use or not to use their bodies. Women who act are mocked as having no talent and simply relying on their bodies. Women who don't show skin or act are mocked for being too prudish, and any lack of success on their part is ridiculed, telling them that they should give up and be a streamer, leading some to act more when they don't want to, out of fear that they can't succeed otherwise, and some to avoid or stop content creation no matter if they wanted to act or not, out of fear of both types of pressure. What I'm saying is that by making it unacceptable for women to be seen as if they want, or to simply own a toy, you harm not only sex workers, but people who like acting sexy on stream, or people who like to use toys in private. It not only harms all of them, but also harms it also harms people who want nothing to do with sex on stream or otherwise. By making it such a big deal, it reinforces negative views about women and their bodies, in that women can only find success using their bodies. Think of like the stupid comments people make that women only get promoted because they slept with the boss. By drawing a negative line to women being sexual, you inherently make it something that needs to be judged or used as a way to belittle others. By Twitch making a big deal of this, it makes streaming harder and less comfortable for all female presenting and some non-binary people. Twitch can't change the wider public view, but they can work to make their site an accepting place for everyone, which is the claimed purpose of this policy, meaning that this policy accomplishes the opposite of what it aims to do, which ties neatly back into the start of this video and the effects of FOSTA backfiring as shared by some more news, meaning my point is made. Also, like, comment, and subscribe, hit the little bell button, it's nice. This video is going to be like 90% censored, since Twitch isn't alone in this type of issue. So, the more support you can give, the better, so that I can continue to make more content like this. Also, come hang out on Twitch. Despite my criticism in this video, I do like being on Twitch to stream. It's tons of fun. I just want Twitch to make itself even better. So come and support a woman, and support me, a woman on Twitch. And please, support Cottontail. She is a genuinely lovely human being. And if you think this video was all just to impress her, it wasn't, unless it did.